Hello and very warm welcome to my students, my colleagues, and my audience. I'm here to record one very short video today on the third section of the novel The Scarlet Letter by Nathaniel Hawthorne. And this chapter, I should say, is a type of background to the first chapter as well as to the second, because it traces some of the reasons why Hester Prynne is there. Besides that, it also reflects on the power of the women if she wants to perform in such a way she can. The daring women, the powerful women, and facing the world in her right, that is the theme of this chapter. I have already recorded two videos, so my students can go to these two videos, part one introduction and part two the second chapter, in order to understand it well. So let's go to the third section of the novel, and that is the recognition, as I show you on the screen. This is the chapter, the recognition. Recognition, as everybody knows, that it is about recognizing something or some person or some place. And here is this chapter where the recognition comes from the crowd, that a person is visible. Who is that person? Why he's become important? Why the chapter has been named as recognition? Let us try to see into that. So in order to understand, we need to go into the passage, which is the most significant one. Instead of reading all the text word by word, here it is the passage that I would like to people to have a view of. For example, the passage says, "You say truly," replied the other, "I am a stranger, and I have been wanderer sorely against my will. I have met with grievous mishaps by sea and land, and have been long held in bonds among the heathen folk to the southward, and am now brought hither by this Indian to be redeemed out of my captivity. Will it please you, therefore, to tell me of Hester Prynne's, have I her name rightly, of this woman's offences, and what has brought her to yonder scaffold?" Now, this is the scene where you can see that Hester, as the second part of the book reminds us, that she was standing in front of the crowd and she was showing herself present there as her punishment was. She was accompanied by her child as well, and she has been accused of giving birth to a child out of no marriage, and that is why she is there as a punishment. And in the crowd, she is able to witness someone, and that is why she is trying to recognize that someone. Up to some extent, she is able to recognize that it is her husband, who have been supposed to be dead in the accident in the sea, and that person is possibly present before her. This person is very clever, so when he looks at this woman, he does not cry immediately that she has to Prince. She has been his wife, and she is the one who is culprit. He's the one whose husband. He does not say so. Instead, he tries to engage one of the person who is sitting, who is standing beside him, and he tells him the story. The lines show that the story is that he was lost on the sea, and he was living among the heathens, or the red Indians, as one can say, and he has been learning a lot of arts from them, and ultimately he has come to this place in order to tell the people that he's still alive. And he puts the question to the person standing by his side, that whether the woman standing before him is really Hester Prynne, as the name has been suggested, and why is she on the scaffolds? Now, this is something really very important that the writer has put before us, the position that the woman is standing on the stage, she's having the problem, and the magistrate has told to the whole of the crowd that she's the one who's committed some adultery, and she has given birth to a child, and that is why the punishment is like that. And this is the very thing which, being informed once again by the questions of this person Chillingworth, he is putting this question, that whether it is really Hester Prynne, or what is his offense. So, what is her offense? So, in that way, this is the repetition and the confirmation of the things, not only from the side of the magistrate, but also from the side of the crowd, but also from the person who has been her husband, and up to some extent, he is also responsible by fate or not by fate or chance. He is responsible for the provision, for the quality of the sin which has been committed, because there was no information about him. So that is why a new turn is taking place in this part of the book, and that is why it has been called as recognition also, because recognition means that one is trying to recognize someone. Now here recognition is on both the sides. From side of Hester Prynne, she's trying to recognize the man who's standing before her, and the man also is trying to recognize by taking clues from the crowd, by by asking whether this is one person. And Hester is also almost recognizing that person, that who he is going to be, and possibly she would like to hide from that person. Let us see this problem of hiding, up to what extent it works there in the making of this chapter. So going to the next passage, and you can leave the remaining portions because it's not that important. Here is the kind of passage that one must go through, because it talks about and takes our vision once again towards the sympathy of the religious authorities. And this is ironic because the punishment which is being given to Hester Prynne is psychological punishment more than it could have been a physical punishment. So the kind of mercy is being talked about, that it's the mercy because of which the punishment has been reduced. For example, the paragraph says, "It behoves him well if he be still in life," responded the townsman. "No, good sir, our Massachusetts magistracy be thinking themselves that this woman is youthful and fair, and doubtless was strongly tempted to her fall, and that moreover, as it most likely her husband may be at the bottom of the sea, they have not been bold to put in force the extremity of our righteous law against her. The penalty, therefore, in death, but in their great mercy and tenderness of heart, they have doomed Mistress Prynne to stand only a space of 3 hours on the platform of the pillory, and then thereafter for the remainder of her natural life to wear a mark of shame upon her bosom." So this is the very paragraph which is explaining the punishment which has been given, but it also engages the husband. For example, it is being said here that the punishment of that girl is reduced because of multiple reasons. One reason is that she's beautiful, she's young, and she's got a lot of life to spend in this world, and that is why death penalty is not one of the reasons there. But the second reason is that she's got a child, and the third reason is that she had got a husband, and that husband was lost on the sea, and his whereabouts were not available, and that is why probably she was tempted towards the sin. So a kind of space has been invented so that this woman may be able to live. Otherwise, there could have been death penalty for such a sin, and by reducing that penalty, it has been talked about that she would be standing only 3 hours on the stage to show the people the scarlet letter and shame as well. So in that way, on the one hand, ironical situation is here that physical punishment comes only once and it's over. Death, for example, it will be over just in moments. But on the other hand, this is the kind of shame, this is the kind of insult and injury to the heart and to the mind that she has to face. Writer, in fact, wants to say that this type of punishment is more as compared to the punishment, physical one. And besides that, the writer also wants to mitigate the severity of the sin committed by her, that when she didn't know, when she had only one idea, which was propagated to her through news that her husband has been drowned in the sea because of the accident in the ship, and that nobody told her that he is alive, and a lot of time had gone by, passed by, when there was no news of her husband, and that is why probably she was tempted to commit sin, or she was tempted to make love with someone. So in that way, Hester Prynne is being shown to be innocent in comparison to the power of the church, power of the law that could have killed him. Ironically, they are saying they have been merciful, but it's irony because they have not been merciful by putting a kind of non-physical, psychological punishment that she has to stand before the people and look at them as well, and let the people look at her shameful letter A as well. Okay, so let's proceed further and see more lines which are possibly very much important. Uh, let's take to this red paragraph. It says, "Dreadful as it was, she was conscious of a shelter in the presence of these 1,000 witnesses. It was better to stand thus with so many betwixt him and her than to greet him face to face, they two alone. She fled of the refuge, as it were, to the public exposure, and dreaded the moment when its protection should be withdrawn from her." Now, this is a very important paragraph because it discusses the effort of a person who wants to hide from the eye of one person by exposing herself to the thousands of hundreds of eyes, and that she's thinking that it's good to be exposed for that instead of getting face-to-face recognition of the man who is supposedly her husband, and who possibly can bring a new change and complexity in her relationship. And he could be something she would never be able to face because he was legally her husband. So in that way, she thinks and prays that these looking eyes are a shelter for her instead of those two eyes which are looking at her. So that is why she prays and runs towards the people and stands before them, because at least at this moment, the people are standing in between her and her husband, Chillingworth. So let us proceed further. What actually goes to happen with her, and recognition has taken place, and after this recognition, what is the result? This is the paragraph to show us something. The voice which had called her attention was that of the Reverend and famous John Wilson, the eldest clergyman of Boston, a great scholar like most of his contemporaries in the profession, and withal a man of kind and genial spirit. So here is a very small paragraph. Actually, it's being shown here that the clergy is very kind and very graceful and very important, and possibly they are being shown some type of people who are above the humanity. It's not the case. The clergy is also a human being, and they too pass through this world, and they too definitely live in this world. They are also made up of the blood and flesh and blood. So they can be having, as in Fra Lippi, the poem by Robert Browning goes to show the nature, the human nature of the friar, and he performs everything like that which a common human being would be performing. Same was the case with Chaucer in his book Prologue to the Canterbury Tales. He talks about many, priest people who were not only corrupt with respect to the worldly affairs, but also they were not that sincere with the religion. So describing the clergy people in such a way probably is trying to be established that they were so great. And this writer is trying to balance the kind of punishment which they give to the people with the kind of stature they are going to claim. So that is why this type of paragraphs come there. Now, why the clergy has come on the stage? What is the reason behind that? Let us see in the next paragraph. It says, as I have selected the paragraph a little bit down the lane of this chapter, this paragraph is quite important because here something important will be discussed. For example, this is the paragraph. The paragraph reads, "Woman, transgressor not beyond the limits of heaven's mercy," cried the Reverend Mr. Wilson more harshly than before. "That little babe hath been gifted with a voice to second and confirm the counsel which thou hast heard. Speak out of the name that, and that thy repentance may avail to take the scarlet letter off thy breast." "Never," replied Hester Prynne, looking not at Mr. Wilson, but into the deep and troubled eyes of younger clergy man. "It's too deeply branded, ye cannot take it off, and would that I might endure his agony as well as mine." So what a courageous woman is here. I, uh, I don't say that everybody will be saying courageous, because everyone would think she's committed a sin and that is why she should be punished. And the partner of the sin should also be punished the same way. But then you see the resolve and the courage of the woman, the love of the woman for the person who is the father of that child. She says, and when especially grand, statured, and big, and large, and merciful, and great clergyman is saying, "Okay, girl, tell the name of the person with you." And she says, "No, I'm not going to tell that." And she says that she will be bearing all the punishment, and possibly the man may also be bearing the punishment because he was in love with her. And this is the resolve which goes to show that one woman can stand against all the odds of life, which are all against her, which are bent upon killing her, which are bent upon killing her babe, which are bent upon killing her personality, but she is there to stand all alone. So this is the type of courage she has founded. With the help of that courage, she is going to face all that. So that is one of the womanly characters which shows that the women of the modern America were not ready to bow down before the clergy people so easily. They were not willing to accept the decisions made by the religion, and without sometime justification, without sometime giving the benefit of the doubt. So that is why the efforts of such women brought laws, which are the modern laws, and which are permitting the women to have relations with the other based on love. It's rather 18 than based hours. On laws. So that is why Hester Prynne is going to be the model woman for the people. And besides that, there have been circumstances which are responsible. Why should we all the time put a woman into such circumstances where the tragedy should come to her? Okay, the circumstances are responsible, but then some kind of space should also be given to such women. So let us see how does the chapter conclude. So that is the type of recognition, that is the type of a non-recognition. I mean, not showing to the people who was the man and what is the description of the man, etc. Let's go down and see what happens further. And here we are possibly reaching to the end, to the conclusion. So we can conclude the chapter by saying that this one is the chapter where truly the recognition of many people take place, but not that person who is responsible for the birth of the child. The lover is not being given, although the same lover was standing on the stage, and Hester Prynne was looking into his eyes and all the time saying that she will say never the word and the name of that person. So in this way, the love and the kind of resistance and the resilience of the woman has been initiated. The writer has also tried to reduce our anger against her because she's not 100% responsible for the committing of the sin. The husband who was lost, who couldn't reach, so circumstances are responsible for that. So the benefit of doubt, the benefit of suspicion should be given to the woman. That is why the writer is coming up to that. So it's not like punishing the woman by burning her as the witches were burnt. It is the kind of civilized, cultured society where such things could be judged on the basis of circumstances also, law also of course, but not 100% on the restricted voice of the religion. That is what the message of this chapter is going to be. So thank you for watching. Hope to see you in some discussion on next chapter of the same novel. And I hope that some of you have liked it, possibly. I'm assuming. So if you like it, do not fail to hit the subscribe button and to hit the like button, and also to post your comment if you have a comment about this or you have a question about this. I will try to respond to that. So thank you so far. Till that time, hope to see you in some next video.